Right, there you go. My first game of 30K. 30K, what's that?
What sort of game are you playing? I'm not playing that game.
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. To be fair, a little bit of an unplanned video this, but I am just about to do something to this little wolfie here. This wolf, he is a hero, and if you haven't seen it yet, then please check out the game of 30k that I had against Aceface, because hero. No, just such an awesome game, and the game came down to the very last dice roll. Now, if you want to check out Aceface's battle report, he does a long battle report with all of the dice rolls in, and then you can check out my battle report if you don't want to see all of that. It's a little bit shorter. But yeah, it's just such an awesome game. And because of what I'm just about to do with this guy, which you're going to see at the end of the video, it made me think about playing with armies that just aren't competitive. Now, all of you Orc players will know all about this, I'm sure, assuming you're still playing with your armies. Now, of course, we've got 8th edition coming, and things are going to change, and that's part and parcel of what this video is going to be about as well. I have a 13th Company Space Wolves army, which is a very themed army. It came out back in the Eye of Terror Codex quite a number of years ago. It was, I think, around 4th edition that it came out, and Assault was king. And the 13th Company basically used a combination of Space Wolves rules, Space Marine wolves, and some special rules in the 13th Company Codex. Some of those special rules entailed the whole army being able to scout, which was a free move at the beginning of the game, and then we had Wolven in there, which moved an extra d6 in the movement phase, and there's quite a number of bits and pieces there to help them get across the board. They weren't allowed, however, to take vehicles, because the fluff was that all of their vehicles had broken, so all they had was bikes. That was about the only thing they could take. They're also limited on things like heavy support, so all they had was long fangs. So it's quite a themed army. Now, back in 4th edition, I still struggled to use it. A, because, to be fair, I wasn't very experienced at the time. But B, still getting across the board, even with those special rules, was sometimes quite difficult. However, when they hit hard. They were nasty in close combat. Now, what happened is 5th edition came out, and vehicles became king. My army became almost unplayable. However, I still played it. I discovered other ways to play the army. So, 5th edition was here. Now, yes, I could have played that army in the standard 5th edition game, but every time I did, I just got absolutely slaughtered. And it doesn't matter how themey your army is, how fun your army is, how much you enjoy playing your army just because it's your army, or just because you're into the fluff, or you're into that particular paint scheme, maybe it's your massive passion. It doesn't matter, all those things. If you're being pounded and losing every week, every month, every year, however often you play, that can be very disheartening, and the fun can come out of the games. So what I did is I found other ways to play the game. Now, I discovered, because of the Cities of Death rules, because of the way buildings worked back then when 5th edition came out, that my army could only really work in the Cities of Death games, because basically you had a lot of buildings to protect you, and you had a much better save in the buildings as well. And also the missions were different, because only troops could score. So it was... I discovered that Cities of Death was perfect for my Space Wolves, and in actual fact that's why my Space Wolves army have urban rubble bases, because in my mind's eye I decided, well, not in my mind's eye, but in general I decided I would only use my Space Wolves in the Cities of Death game, and I did, and they performed a lot better. They weren't like tremendous. They weren't winning every game, but I had a chance in Cities of Death missions. So I reserved them to those type of games. Now moving on a bit, of course the Eye of Terror Codex became defunct, and then it was just normal Space Wolves Codex that I was using. And I tried, although I was gutted at the time that happened, but I tried to embrace it and started to use the Space Wolves Codex. I tried to introduce tanks into my army. It became quite unfluffy, and I almost gave up playing it until the Year of the Wolf came along. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically the decision that I made to paint my army. I decided to paint my army specifically to the highest quality that I could. And I figured that if I'd painted my army to my best abilities, and I enjoyed looking at my army on the table, it would make me want to play the army more. And it did. You know, I really love the way my army looks, and I can now get my army out knowing that it's going to lose, it's going to die, but enjoying that. Now, how many times I can do that, I don't know, but it's certainly been working so far. Now, going back to the 30k game against Aceface, again, it was another way to play my army and make it maybe a little bit more competitive. And I think that's the thing, really. It depends on your group of friends that you have. Going to a tournament with it, you have to go to the mindset that A, you're going to just go to try and win the painting competition in the tournament, or B, you're just going to go to have fun, but you can't go to think, I'm going to try and win with this army. Well, you can, but if the army's already underpowered, that's obviously hard to do. But what you can do if you have a group of friends is you can make the game a little bit more even. And that's exactly what Aceface and I did. I made my army list because I had a limited amount of models. I maxed out my points with all the options of war gear, got to 2,000 points. I said to Aceface, here's my army, and he's got a few more models to choose within his World Eaters, and he toned his army down almost to match mine, to try and make it as even as possible. We both had stuff there that was difficult to deal with. He had his Lothian dreadnoughts. I had my Wolven, which he knew was going to be nasty for him, but we evened out the battlefield through basically looking at each other's army lists and agreeing beforehand, hey, we want to play 40k, 30k in that instance, but you know, whatever system you're playing, you agree beforehand, we want to play, we want a close, even battle, and then you sort of try and match your armies for that. And if you've got friends which are willing to do that, that really does enhance your army. And sometimes this is difficult. Sometimes you automatically have an army which is nasty. You know, you've got Aldar. You know, it's difficult to tone down some armies, but not impossible. So that is another way to get around playing an army which is underpowered, under par as such, is to, you know, basically make the game even yourselves. The other option is there's through missions. You know, you could have a certain mission which makes your army have an advantage. You could even play with different points levels. Maybe your disadvantaged army has a few more points, another extra couple of units. You know, there's loads that you can actually do to make your army not competitive but more evenly matched. Now, the other thing, which brings me nicely on to this guy, who now has a new name. This guy's name is Khan Killer, or Killer for short. So, Killer, yeah. So, as I said, you've got to check out the battle reports. But this guy here was very heroic, and his reward is going to be some Khan blood in his mouth. Yes. And that brings me nicely on to the next thing that I want to say. Customization of your army. It may be underpowered, but there are still going to be things that are going to happen in games that's going to give you some reward. Like this guy here. And putting some blood in his teeth, knowing that's Khan's blood in this wolf, gives me some more enjoyment when I'm playing my underpowered army. It's on the table, I can look at that wolf. He killed Khan. Oh, did I say that? Killer here did something really good, and I can look at my army, send in these wolves, put him at the back now. He's like the big guy, and see what else he can do. And if he does kill somebody else, you know, I can give him like a dog collar with a name on there, Killer or something. You know, you can have fun with your army, and if that brings extra enjoyment. When you're playing games, it also brings extra conversation with your opponent when you're playing games, and it just helps lighten the environment that you're in. Not tournament play, obviously, but certainly in a group of your friends, or what's commonly known as basement gaming. Really, really awesome. So, yeah, just something to think about. As I said, this video is a bit unplanned. I just thought I would turn the camera on and quickly chat about this. So I'm going to now put some blood in this guy's mouth, my Khan Killer, or Killer as he's going to be known from now on. And here is a little video clip of the final results. Thanks for watching.